I fled my home country of Nigeria to the US in 2016 in pursuit of safety as a gay asylum seeker. I arrived here with the expectation of being welcomed by the gay community, but I quickly learned that in the gay community, I was considered a refugee. In the refugee community, I was considered black. In the black community, I was considered African. And in the African community, I was considered gay. In every community I found myself in, I was considered the other. No one should ever have to feel the need to flee their home because of who they are. Love should never be the cause for ESA. Yet, the reality is one in every 95 people on earth have been forced to flee their home in 2020 due to circumstances beyond their control. Half of the world refugees are children, which expose them to child labor issues, exploitation, and even abuse. I am a refugee, but you and I are not that different from each other. And we want the same things: a warm meal eating our stomach, love, acceptance, friends to smile with, and a safe place to place our head at night. Losing my home was losing everything I knew as a child growing up: the way we dress, our culture, and the food, especially my mama's. Imagine losing everything that brings you joy: your home, time with family, your favorite restaurant, all gone the next moment. I vividly remember when I was 6 years old, how my father created a feeling of joy and hope for the community in Warri, Nigeria, where I grew up. The Nigerian under-23 soccer team qualified for the US '96 Olympic Games in Atlanta. The games would take place in the afternoon in America, but we got to view it in the evening in Nigeria. Only a few members of my community had television. My dad had a black and white TV. He would place the TV on top of a stack of empty beer crates. He would connect the TV to the battery of his Toyota car and turn on the ignition to ensure that the TV was on for the entirety of the game. The Nigerian soccer team would go on and win the US Olympic soccer game. There were sounds of joy, celebration. Folks were throwing my dad up like he was a coach. I laugh and admire my father for creating a community I have longed for, but I couldn't express it because of my sexual orientation as a gay man. My father was a traditionalist, a Christian. He never believed I was a true African man, because a man is supposed to get married to a woman and have children. My father was a reflection of what my community believed in, so home became an unwelcoming place. As a result, I ran far away from home to another city to build a life. For a fleeting moment, I felt I have found the joy of having a home with other gay men in the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja, until we weren't safe. In 2013, the government of Nigeria passed the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act, which criminalizes same-sex relations by 14 years imprisonment and activists by 10 years imprisonment. Aiding and supporting a family member who is found to be gay, 10 years imprisonment. Providing space for members of the gay community to gather, 10 years imprisonment. The joy I have found quickly turned into darkness. 8 crimes against members of the LGBTQ community. Shameful parading in public naked anyone who is found to be gay as a punishment for who we are. In 2016, I suffered a mob violence. I was in my apartment. I heard the door banging. They broke into my apartment. I was lying on the floor, naked and helpless. They dragged me out of my apartment and were beating me on the street with sticks and stones. Children were singing behind me, "He's gay. We have found out. We are going to kill him." This was what led me to flee my country. I arrived in the US with the expectation of being welcome. At the US border, I was handcuffed, shackles to my waist and feet, driven to a detention center for seeking asylum in America. While I was in the detention center, I was isolated. The African community did not welcome me, obviously, because I am gay. After 5 months and 14 days at the detention center, I was granted asylum to live in America, but my search for home continues. If I couldn't fit in, then I could stand out. This is what led me to become an activist for displaced people, creating a sense of home I did not have when I arrived in America. It takes courage to leave all you knew behind, to start anew, to make something out of nothing. In 2021, when the US government evacuated Afghans from Kabul, I visited Quantico as part of the resettlement effort with Operation Allies welcomed by the Biden administration. At the end of the day, right where I was standing, a ball rolled towards me. I stopped the ball with my foot to kick it back to the direction from where it came. Upon raising my head, I was pleasantly surprised to see the kids running towards me. As a soccer fan, I had to engage. I dribbled them one after the other. And at the end of the game, I had an epiphany that it didn't matter what my country was or what my sexual orientation was to them. It was just soccer. I had a utopia of a community I had wanted my entire life. The joy of having a home is knowing that you wouldn't be killed for playing a sport. So we find ourselves in 2022, faced with the war in Ukraine. It has been well publicized, so we are all made painfully aware of the 4 million people that have been forced to flee their homes. But what about the 82 million others before them that were a result of successions of war that precedes Ukraine? It's an unfortunate reality we all have to face, that more people will be forced to flee their home. You all sit in front of me, shell-shocked that we can't do much to stop the horrendous atrocities that we are all experiencing in Ukraine. But I stand in front of you, shell-shocked that way less was done to the people of Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Myanmar. This is what inspired me to create a national organization, Refuge America, with a vision of strengthening America as a place of welcome for displaced people. I have found the joy of having a home. I am engaged to be married. But I'm consistently wondering why countries restructure their economy for war, but not the alternatives. As Jonathan Lassin wrote, the opposite of war isn't peace, it's creation. So won't you please join me in creating joy for these recently displaced refugees that have fled to the US by helping them find a home and a community that they can call their own. Thank you.